These calm and soothing visuals of the Twin Cities belie the madness that has taken over Minneapolis in the world of sports this week. Had the Gophers on Saturday night, the Vikings on Sunday. The Twins return home in the Major League Baseball playoffs later this week. But over the course of the next 2 days, Minneapolis is the epicenter of Big Ten basketball. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome you inside the Target Center and the site of 2023 Big Ten Basketball Media Days. I'm your host, Rick Pizzo. In just about 5 months' time, the Big Ten Women's Tournament returns to the Target Center for the second consecutive year. And over the course of the next 2.5 hours, we bring you the unofficial start of the Big Ten basketball season. We will hear from all 14 women's head coaches coming up over the next 2.5 hours. We begin with Rutgers head woman Coquese Washington. Brenda, Frese, and Maryland always in the conversation. Penn State continues to get better year after year under Carolyn Kieger. What a season last year was for Kevin McGuff and the Buckeyes. Kim Barnes, Arico, and Michigan trying to build on their school record NCAA appearance streak. Indiana's Teri Moren, the reigning national coach of the year. Robyn Fralick trying to get things started for the Spartans of Michigan State. At Purdue, Gearlds continues to build. Got some great transfers and a really good recruiting class. What a year 2022-23 was for Shauna Green and the Illini. Amy Williams and Nebraska, always a tough out. Joe McKeown continues his illustrious career at Northwestern. Lisa Bluder in Iowa, star power again in Iowa City. Marisa Moseley was on our flight last night. Look forward to hearing from the Wisconsin head coach and first-year head woman Dawn Plitzuweit. Starts things up, taking over for Lindsay Whalen at Minnesota. We're moments away from hearing from Rutgers head coach Coquese Washington beginning her second year on the Banks. Remember, she had a wildly successful run at Penn State before returning to the Big Ten. Destiny Adams, Maya Petticourt, pair of transfers who should figure in prominently this year for the Scarlet Knights, who also signed a 4-star recruit in Lisa Thompson and will play that wonderful exhibition to honor the life and legacy of Nikki McCray-Penson. Let's head up to Satvik Patel for our first introduction of the morning.
Opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out. It's great to see everybody here. So excited about the start of basketball season, the most wonderful time of the year, in my opinion. And Big Ten basketball is poised to have another fantastic year. We can certainly capitalize on last year's Final Four and the excitement that really has generated and has been extended across the summer and the fall into our women's basketball season this year. And certainly the Big Ten Conference as a national conference should be part of the epicenter of what women's basketball fans are looking for this year, certainly our fans. And Rutgers is really excited to be a part of this and looking forward to having a really great season. So with that said, I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor for questions for Coach Washington.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to let you do that.
Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. As you look forward to this season, what was your biggest takeaway from last year as a new coach with Rutgers that's going to help you this season?
Well, the biggest takeaway to me was the quality of the coaching in our conference and the quality of the players in our conference. When you look across the landscape of Big Ten women's basketball, there's so much talent. There's so much outstanding coaching, and that helps you prepare for postseason play. You have to be on your P's and Q's every night because you're going to face coaches who are great at making in-game adjustments, who are great at preparation, who have varying styles of play. And so it helps make your program one you have to elevate your ability to be successful in this conference. And again, looking at the players across the conference, when you look at the players that are on Maryland's roster and Ohio State's roster, and certainly Iowa's roster, it's exciting to coach against that level of talent.
Straight back on your left, Coach.
Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. Hey, Coquese.
Good morning.
I'm curious, you talked about the excitement generated by the Final Four last year. Looking back at the time that you've been involved in women's college hoops, how different does this moment feel right now, and how can the game capitalize on it?
It feels very different. You see now, this past offseason, there were so many more tangential fans who were talking and interested about women's basketball. I mean, I've just in New Brunswick, New Jersey, going to get a coffee one morning, and this guy with, looks like a construction worker, he had a construction hat on, and I had my Rutgers basketball shirt on, and he was like, you're with the women's program? I'm like, yeah. He was like, how about that Caitlin Clark, right? Just that kind of excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and women's basketball, women's college basketball was spoken about so much over the summer. And I think it carried over into what we're seeing in the WNBA. It's got to be one of the most talked about WNBA championships in the history of the league. And I think we're in a position where we can capitalize on growing our fan base, but beyond the typical women's basketball fans, and helping to grow this game into certainly a mainstream sports product that people across the country are engaged with and happy to talk about.
Second row on your left.
Brian Fonseca with NJ Advanced Media. Coquese, how would you assess where the program is at after your first year with it, and do you feel things are moving in the right direction after you've been there for 12 months?
I'm extremely happy about where the program is right now. Our first year was really about building a foundation, building a culture, establishing how we're going to run our program, how we're going to recruit, how we're going to play on game day, and we were successful at that. I think we're definitely in a position now to continue to move the program forward and be more competitive on game day. And when looking at where our team is, with the additions that we brought in, I'm excited about our ability to do that this year.
Hi, Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. I want to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about, the momentum that this sport seems to have gathered, and just talk more specifically about what it's like to have perhaps the most premier player in the country in the Big Ten Conference, and what that does for the profile of the conference.
It's a lot of fun. It's not fun on game day playing against Caitlin Clark, but it's a lot of fun to have that excitement around her. You go play Iowa, and there are the arena is full, and there's so many people that are cheering her on. My daughter lives in my house, and she's a Caitlin Clark fan, and so I have to tell her, we're at Rutgers. She was like, but that's the kind of impact that a player like Caitlin Clark, or a player like Naz Hillman, who was at Michigan a few years ago, those types of players who can engender conversation around our game, I think it bodes well for the Big Ten. And it also makes other great players want to play in this conference so we can compete against her. Great players want to play against other great players. So Caitlin Clark certainly is, I think, certainly the leading name in our conference, but there are so many other transcendent players that are playing in the Big Ten, and it's going to be exciting this year for all of those players to get the recognition that they deserve.
Coach Coquese Washington, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Definitely plenty to build on for Coquese Washington, and the Scarlet Knights after last season did pick up 5 conference wins. You look at some of the important dates for Rutgers, non-conference against Auburn and Virginia Tech early in the year. Of course, those games against Indiana and Iowa. So much about the schedule this year with all these teams and who they play, the 1 play versus the 2 play, and where you play those teams as you look once again at some of the key dates for the Scarlet Knights coming up throughout 2023-24. Our next head coach, Brenda Frese, is about to set to stroll to the podium. Maryland women's basketball picked to finish 4th preseason by the coaches and the media. That's good enough to be top 15 preseason in the national polls. How about the first 2 road games for the Terps? You want to be tested at South Carolina and at UConn, as tough as it gets in the non-conference, especially to play those games away from College Park. Brenda Frese has some great players coming back, but you have to go into the transfer portal to have success in today's day and age, and she was able to add NC State transfer Jakia Brown-Turner. That should also be a huge help for the Terps coming up this season. Back to Sotvik and the stage we go for our next coach introduction.
Now coming to the stage from the University of Maryland, head coach Brenda Frese. Coach Frese will begin her 22nd season at Maryland after leading the Terps to a 28-win season and an NCAA Elite Eight appearance last year. Coach Frese.
Good morning. It's always great to be here in Minnesota, and always exciting times when we think of getting ready for the Big Ten tournament. I can tell you that I always know when it's basketball season, like this morning when I woke up at 2 a.m. and I started thinking about ball screen coverages. So we definitely know that the season is around the corner, but this is my favorite time of the year when you talk about kind of putting all of your pieces together with your team. And for us, we welcome back 4 of our 6 leading scorers from last year with Cheyenne Sellers, Faith Masonis, Brene Alexander, and Lavender Briggs. We're also excited we added Jakia Brown-Turner from NC State, a grad senior for us who started 123 games in her career, 3 ACC titles, an Elite Eight appearance, and Sweet 16 appearance. So just a lot of great experience with Jakia coming into our program. We also welcome back 2 of our players that were injured last year that are having a tremendous preseason for us. We have all CAA honoree Allie Kubik, who averaged 15 points and 6 rebounds at Towson, and Emma Chardon is back really healthy and doing some great things for us. Obviously, have big shoes to fill when you lose 2 first-round WNBA draft picks in Diamond Miller as well as Abby Myers. But this team got a lot of experience last year with their Elite Eight finish, 9 wins over ranked teams, and our schedule this year is definitely going to prepare us for Big Ten play as well as for March. We have 4 of our 8 Elite Eight teams that we're going to play this year, and 3 are going to be on the road with South Carolina, UConn, Ohio State, and then we have Iowa coming into our place. So it's a challenging schedule, but one that we're really looking forward to see how it's going to prepare us for March.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions. All the way back on your left.
Good morning, Coach Frese. What would be your assessment of how the team has come together in the last couple of weeks of practice, and what has stood out to you the most?
I think clearly their chemistry, having so many veteran leaders, a lot of grad seniors on our roster, and just their work ethic. They come into practice every single day and they're ready to be coached. They want to get better, and it's probably been a quicker process than a year ago, just having so many of the veterans back from last season and with that kind of experience. So that's been exciting.
Hey, Brenda, Chantel Jennings with The Athletic.
Hi, Chantel.
We saw sophomore Shy a year ago. What can we expect from her this season?
Just another step forward. I love where junior Shy is at. Just she understands the load she's going to have to carry for us this year. Just her maturation process has been incredible to be able to watch, and that's what you want to see when you watch players in 4-year careers. And so I'm really excited about Shy. I mean, she took a major step forward. Now she's going to have to own, even bigger responsibility on her shoulders this season, but she's more than capable of it.
Christy Winterscott, Big Ten Network.
Hi, Christy.
With the freshmen that you have coming in, that's always kind of an eye-opener when you step on campus. How have you eased that transition for your freshmen this year?
I'm really excited about our freshmen and their growth and their development. They have come in, I would say, this summer, and they spent really a great 8 weeks in the weight room, their conditioning level. They are all really, really talented. Clearly, they've got some 5-year vets in front of them, but the work ethic is there, the talent level is there. So I think the thing you'll see with our team this season is we've got a lot more depth that we're going to be able to go to.
On your right, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Lynette Shokwas, Gopher Radio. One thing that I wanted to know is Minneapolis certainly has grown more appreciative of what Diamond Miller can do on the court. I mean, we're glad to have her away from Maryland and wearing a jersey for the Lynx. You had mentioned what you're doing to replace her presence on the court collegiately. Help me understand. Is it by committee? I mean, she's just been a wonder for the Lynx. And like I said, we're glad she's not wearing a Maryland uniform anymore.
I'm happy that you guys are there. You know, we miss her dearly. And I think it speaks volumes of our development. She shared with me just going to the Lynx that our system, our transition, our offense really prepared her for the Lynx, which I think is the highest compliment when these guys want to go to the next level. It is going to be by committee this year. We don't have 2 first-round draft picks yet, but the thing I will say that I'm most encouraged by is every returner from last season has come back better. And when you have that kind of work ethic that goes on behind the scenes, you know, I throw out a Bree McDaniel. She, as a sophomore, is making that jump that Cheyenne Sellers made last year. So, you know, really excited for all of our returners coming back because they were kind of in those shadows of both Diamond and Abby last year, and rightly so. They weren't ready for that responsibility, but they're more than prepared this season.
Connecting back to the WNBA, of course, Alyssa Thomas, one of the best players to ever walk through the Maryland program. Anybody showing signs of AT in your program today?
Ooh, great question. You know, that's kind of like a Caitlin Clark, in my opinion. AT, you know, came through our program, all-time leading scorer and rebounder, not only in just the women's basketball in Maryland, the men's side as well. So obviously, you know, I think every player is unique to their own. You know, AT is, you know, one of those incredible players to be able to coach and come through. But, you know, I'd say, like, I love, like, where each and every player is on our roster. I think, again, we're a little bit more by committee this year. But, you know, we continue to, you know, try to develop our players so they're prepared for the next level.
Coach Brenda Frese, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Whether it is by committee or with the use of star players like Diamond Miller or Alyssa Thomas, the level of consistency that Brenda Frese has shown in her 2+ decades in College Park is simply mind-blowing. You see the Big Ten schedule release, some of those games that Coach Frese talked about, including Iowa at home on February 3rd, and 3 other matchups this year against teams that were part of the Elite 8 last year. Ohio State is on that schedule not once but twice, including a road trip to Columbus on February the 25th. Welcome back to the Target Center, our continuing coverage of Big Ten basketball media days. Coaches will tell you their number one focus, getting their team, their players better every single day. And you can't do it better than Carolyn Kieger has done it, as the Nittany Lions have improved their win total in each of her 4 seasons in State College. McKenna Marisa is back, a preseason All-Big Ten selection, and she'll be joined by a name very familiar to Big Ten fans. Ashley Owusu, the former Maryland Terp, who then transferred to Virginia Tech, is now set to finish her career with Penn State in State College. Nittany Lions looking for their first NCAA tournament appearance in nearly a decade. As we take you back to the stage.
From Penn State University, please welcome head coach Carolyn Kieger. Coach Kieger is preparing for her 5th season with the Nittany Lions. Coach will begin with your opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. I want to extend my gratitude to the Big Ten and Commissioner Petiti for hosting Media Day, and all the folks at the Target Center for such a warm welcome. It's always great to be back in my home state of Minnesota. I even got to steal a few hours with my parents last night. And my mom asked me if she could come today. I said it was just for press, and then I realized she probably watches more Big Ten women's basketball than 99% of the people in here. But thankfully, she's not asking the questions today, otherwise we would all miss our flights. So it's an honor to be up here today representing Penn State Lady Lion basketball. We're thrilled to be a part of the best conference in America. We look ahead to this upcoming season. Our team is thrilled with enthusiasm, determination, and a deep commitment to represent Penn State with pride. We have been hard at work this offseason, both on and off the court, preparing for the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. Our student athletes have shown incredible dedication, and I'm excited to showcase their growth and their talents. We have a chip on our shoulder this season, a chip to prove to ourselves, our fans, and the country that we belong among the nation's best. Every year we have been gaining momentum and getting better, and I truly believe this is our year to thrive. I'm going to run through our entire roster because I believe this is the deepest and most balanced team I've had the pleasure to coach. This team is special. They are winners, and they have a chip to prove it. No surprise, I'm going to start off with our All-Big Ten first-team performer, Marisa. It's a gift to have her back for her 5th year. She's everything you can hope for in a student athlete, and she wants nothing more than to put Penn State back in the NCAA tournament. I believe her dedication and loyalty to Penn State is going to pay off this season. And not only is she just 250 points shy of reaching 2,000 points, but she is also dominating the classroom and teaching the state college community. Next, we have Leilani Kapanis, who was a member of the All-Big Ten defensive team last year and was named to honorable mention. She led the Big Ten in steals and was 8th in the country. She is back not only to prove she's the nation's best defender, but that she can lead our team to be one of the best team defenses. She had an incredible offseason representing USA basketball with 3-on-3 and gained incredible knowledge for the game. Shea Chesky is back after a phenomenal freshman campaign. She was 2nd in our team in scoring and 7th in the Big Ten in field goal percentage. She played amazing down the stretch and had an incredible summer. I look for her to have one of the best sophomore seasons in the Big Ten. Shania Pinto really started to find her stretch and her stride down the end of last season. She too had the opportunity to represent her country, Mozambique, this summer. She returned a different player, a different leader, and a different woman. She will no doubt be our X factor this season. Allie Brigham worked extremely hard since our last game. She has transformed her game in every area. After shooting 65% last year from the field, I have zero doubts that her hard work will be on display her senior season. I can't say enough about the grit and courage of Allie Campbell she has shown over the past 2 years. She has dominated her recovery and looks better than ever. I can't wait to see her back on the floor with her teammates in less than a month. In addition to these amazing returners, our staff hit home run after home run in the transfer portal. Ashley Owusu is no stranger to the Big Ten. As an All-American and a 2021 Ann Myers Drysdale Award winner, we are thrilled to see her back in the Big Ten representing the blue and white. She is ready to perform on the biggest stage again and make a splash. Taylor Valladay is a full circle moment for me. I signed her at Marquette before I came to Penn State, but never got the pleasure to coach her. Now we're in her 5th year, we get to finish what we started, and I'm thrilled for the country to find out the player that I always knew Taylor was. Jayla Oden is also a former Big Ten player after having a lot of success at Illinois. She has fit in tremendously, and I know her experience in the league and her ability to play in our up-tempo system is going to be the perfect addition. I'm excited to see her thrive this season. Kylie Lavelle was a member of the CAA all-freshman team last year for Drexel, and we expect her dominance to continue in the Big Ten. I have recruited Grace Hall since she was a freshman in high school, and after a year at LSU and a few injuries, I'm thrilled to help her reach her dreams. And last but not least, we have freshman Mariah Murray, who is one of the best pure shooters in the country, and I expect her to gain valuable minutes as a freshman. Sorry, but I had to make sure all of our amazing women got a shot out because I believe each of them will play a vital role in our success this season. Lastly, I want to thank the media, our administration, and my staff for being the best of the best. I can't wait to celebrate all our wins and success this season as a family. We are.
Thank you, Coach Kieger. We'll open the floor now for questions. Straight back on your left.
Hi. Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. When you were just discussing the depth of who you have on your roster, what is going to be the biggest challenge to mesh all of those pieces together, and how has that looked so far in practice?
Great to see you, Christy. Thanks for all you do for women's basketball. It's a great problem to have. It really is. Our team is gelling, and their chemistry. I've been so impressed by this summer and this off season. They just want to win. So we've been putting a lot of different lineups together, and every day in practice we have 2 teams that are going head to head, and I've never had that. I usually have one team that dominates, and it's going to be really fun because we're going to have a lot of depth and a lot of competitiveness, and at the end of the day, all 12 of these young ladies just want Penn State to succeed, and that's our only goal, is to be back in that NCAA tournament.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
You mentioned your mother off the top, which I just absolutely love. What was the biggest lesson you learned from her that helps you in your job today?
Wow, that's a great question. I would just say her work ethic and her unselfishness. She is one of the most unselfish human beings I've ever met in my life. I'm one of 6 kids, and she gave her entire life to make sure that we had the best possible experiences and opportunities. And, that's my job to pay it forward for our young women now. And, all she wanted for us was to thrive and be as successful as we can. And that's my goal, and that's what I do to pay it forward and hopefully make her proud.
Questions for Coach Kieger.
She's going to be excited you asked a question about her. No doubt she's watching.
And don't you ever apologize about giving your players props.
Hey, absolutely.
Coach Kieger, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys for being here.
What a great scouting report. Obviously, nobody knows the Lady Lions like Coach Kieger, giving us a bit of a rundown of every player on her roster. See the Big Ten Network schedule for Penn State and all the times that you can see the Lady Lions on our network, expecting improvement for a 5th straight season under Carolyn Kieger as the Nittany Lions do look to make it back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in a decade. What a terrific year 2022-23 was for Kevin McGuff and the Buckeyes. They're picked to finish second after making that run to the Elite Eight a year ago. They play USC and Tennessee away from home in non-conference play, so certainly will be ready for Big Ten play when they get there. They made that run last year, despite the fact that J.C. Shelton was injured through so much of the season. They start this season ranked 7th preseason in the Athletic Top 25 poll. Let's take you to the stage once again and get set for the introduction of Kevin McGuff.
Our next coach from The Ohio State University is Kevin McGuff. Coach McGuff is set to enter his 11th season in Columbus after leading the Buckeyes to 28 wins in an NCAA tournament Elite Eight appearance last season. Coach McGuff will begin with your opening statement.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to see everyone. I'm off to a way better start than a year ago, because a year ago I went to put my tie on and I had put on so much weight that my shirt wouldn't close. So I got my tie on this morning, and I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about our team. We had what I thought was a really great season last year, and we returned the core of that group. Obviously graduated a great player in Taylor Mikesell, and we're going to miss her greatly. But also added some exciting players that I think will really kind of bolster our team, and we're going to need to be good. We've got a very challenging non-conference schedule. We play UCLA at home. We play at Tennessee. We open the season versus a very talented USC team in Las Vegas. We play Oklahoma State. We've got some really great games in there. And then, of course, Kerry Kenny always does me the great favor of giving me the hardest Big Ten schedule. So we'll be challenged certainly in the Big Ten. We also have on December 22nd, we're going to play Belmont University, where my daughter is a junior playing basketball. So that'll be fun. And so we got a lot of great games, and we're going to need to be good because it's going to be very challenging for us.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor for questions. Second row on your right.
Hey, Kevin, Adam Jardy with the Columbus Dispatch. You mentioned at Ohio State's media day about Madison and just kind of where her trying to come along and get back to things. What is the latest on her status, and until she's able to play, what does the point guard position look like for you?
Well, JC will start at the point guard position, and she looks great right now. So, but Madison's doing really, really well with her rehab, and we anticipate her coming back at some point mid-November to late November. I mean, we're going to certainly be somewhat cautious with that, just to make sure we give her plenty of time to not only be healthy and be ready, but to be comfortable in coming back as well.
Back left.
Good morning, Coach. Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. With J.C. Sheldon missing a high percentage of games last year for your team, how did that help keep the other players cohesive, especially a player like Cody McMahon?
Yeah, so it was difficult. We started out just playing extremely well last year. We won our first 19 games. We got as high as ranked second in the country, and then Madison gets hurt, JC gets hurt, and so it really put us in a tough position. I think one of the players that really stepped up and did a great job was Ricky Harris, and we kind of play her at every position, and we had to play her at the point guard position, which is probably not her natural position, but she showed up every day and did whatever she could to help us win. And we also played Taylor Mikesell at the point guard position, which is not her natural position as well. And then people like Cody and Taylor Teri really just stepped up in general and played extremely well to continue to give us a chance to win.
Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. How intentional was it of you and your staff to schedule USC and UCLA since they will be a part of the mix next season?
Ironically, not intentional at all. The Las Vegas event, which is going to feature 2 women's games, we're going to play USC and LSU is going to play Colorado. And then there's going to be 2 men's games, USC versus Kansas State, and I don't recall the other one. It was a good event against a great opponent to start the season. And then the UCLA thing literally just happened in the last couple of weeks. We both were kind of desperate for a game. And I have great respect for their program. I know they're going to be extremely good this year. And so we wanted to add another quality opponent. And so it just kind of worked out. And it's kind of just a one-year thing with UCLA, given that they're going to be in a conference and we couldn't schedule like a home and home. And we actually we were supposed to play them, but the game got canceled during COVID. We literally flew to Los Angeles, and the game we were playing 2 games. We were playing UCLA, then going down and playing San Diego State. That game got canceled, so we sat in Westwood for 3 days and then went down to San Diego State and played them. So we wanted to play them because I think it's a great game because I really I enjoy playing great programs like UCLA.
Hey, Coach, Steve Hellwagon with 24/7 Sports and Bucknuts in Columbus. To get to the Elite Eight, just what did that mean, and do you sense some excitement around this program that the next step could be around the corner at any time, I suppose?
Yeah, that was a really big step for us last year. We hadn't been to the Elite Eight in 30 years at Ohio State women's basketball, so we had been to the Sweet 16 the year before and lost to basically at the buzzer to Texas, and so that was huge for our program to take that step, especially being able to play against Connecticut and win the game and go on to the Elite Eight. We aspire for more, certainly, and it's hard to do because there's so many great teams and programs in women's basketball. But that's what we got our sights set on. So hopefully we can take that step sometime soon.
Second row here on your left.
Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. When you look at the depth of talent in this conference, which is only going to get deeper with the addition of those teams next year, every year you're in the mix. But for younger coaches or new coaches in this league, what is the key to taking a team from the lower half of the Big Ten to the upper half, and how challenging is that task?
It's really, really challenging. I think the conference has never been better. I think right now we're seeing a lot of too, and we've benefited from it. There's a lot of fifth-year players from COVID, and so the depth of talent in this conference is incredible. And then when you add the 4 West Coast teams that are all really strong in women's basketball, it's going to be really, really difficult. And so, usually jobs come open in this league because something didn't go right and people didn't win enough. It's just the reality of where we are. So when you take those jobs, it's a tough task. And I would say, for me personally, you got to have a certain amount of talent, of course, but it just seems like here, for me, the better kids that we've got in our program and the character of the kids that we've had, the better we've done. So, you can chase talent, but my advice to someone who's taking a job in this league is just make sure you get good kids that you can build with.
Questions for Coach McGuff. Third row on your left.
Hi, Nathan Ford with the Cedar Rapids Gazette. In your time in the Big Ten, have you noticed arena environments, sort of the excitement around those increase?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like this past year was incredible. Our attendance was way up in Columbus at Ohio State, but you go to Iowa City, you go to Bloomington, all these places, like the attendance is way up. So I think it's sort of a trend nationally. You could look at the WNBA, you could look at college women's basketball, and just the interest level is, you could look at the TV numbers, you can tell the interest level is there. And then when you go to these arenas, you can really feel it because the attendance is way up, which is awesome for our sport.
Coach McGuff, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Kevin McGuff, entering his 11th year at Ohio State, has won more than an average of 22 games per season during his first decade in Columbus. See some of the Big Ten TV times for Ohio State. Heard Kevin McGuff talk about their challenging non-conference schedule, including a unique 2-game set, one against USC, one against UCLA. Welcome back to Minneapolis, site of 2023 Big Ten Basketball Media Days. A crisp fall morning in the city that the artist helped make famous. And yes, 5 months from right now, we will be back here at the Target Center for the start of the 2024 Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament. We're set to hear from Michigan head coach Kim Barnes-Arico. The Wolverines set to finish 5th in the Big Ten according to the preseason media voting. Layla Fillier, preseason All-Big Ten selection. Coach Barnes-Arico is busy in the transfer portal as well, trying to make it 4 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament, building on a number that is already a school record. And with that information in hand, we
now
head back
to
the
the
stage.
From the University of Michigan, Coach Kim Barnes-Arico. Coach Arico will begin her 12th campaign in Ann Arbor after directing the Wolverines to at least the second round of the NCAA tournament for the 10th time. Coach, we'll begin with your opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone. It's great to be here again. It means that the basketball season is right around the corner. I can't believe I'm about to kick off my 12th season in Ann Arbor. That means I'm one of the more veteran coaches that are coming up here today, which seems weird. I still feel in some ways like I'm 25, but I guess I'm not anymore. But it is a great time to be a women's basketball coach. It is a great time to be a women's basketball player, especially in the Big Ten Conference. I think we are the strongest conference in the country from top to bottom. 2 new coaches were added this season that are phenomenal coaches that are going to bring an exciting style of play, along with so many tremendous coaches that I admire returning, as well as student athletes. We have some of the best women's basketball players in the country in our league, and I think we're definitely going to be fighting for championships this season. So it's a great time. I've kind of watched our league evolve through the years, and I'm just excited to be a part of it and excited to be a part of this conference. Just to talk a little bit about our program, our team. We graduated 3 players last year. 1 was drafted in the WNBA, and Leah Brown played for the Connecticut Sun all season long, so had a great season with them. And Emily Kieger, who is now playing professionally in Greece. So we graduated and lost a lot of experience. So it will be a different type of year for us, but I'm excited to see what we have in store. We return Layla Fillier, who had a tremendous year last year as a sophomore and was a unanimous pick to the preseason team. She had a great summer. She played USA basketball this summer and has just really worked incredibly hard on her game and gets better and better every time out. She's just a special player, and I'm excited to have her lead our team this year. As well as Cameron Williams, who is a returning starter for us. And she's with us today. She's a 6'4" post player who we're expecting to, follow up the lead of a Naz Hillman or an Emily Kieger and try to average around a double-double for us. That would be nice. And then we have a number of grad transfers, which is something that we really haven't had in the past, but with the landscape of college athletics changing, we went into the portal this year, and Lauren Hansen is a point guard for us who transferred from Missouri. She's one of 3 grad transfers for us that is with us today. So she will be in our starting lineup at the point guard position. So a different team than we've seen in years, but a team that has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, a little bit of something to prove. It's been a tremendous couple of weeks working. We had an exciting international trip this summer to Croatia and Italy, so got a chance to get acclimated with each other and are really enjoying practicing and getting the chemistry going with our team this year. So that's a little bit about us and a little bit about the league. I guess I would open it to any questions.
Questions for Coach?
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Kim. Good morning.
Good morning.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. With Layla Filia coming into her junior year and having that USA basketball experience over the summer, what kinds of expectations do you have for her making a big, solid jump this year with the graduation of 3 players?
Yeah, Layla, and you guys know, anybody that had a chance to watch our team the last couple of years, she always said her freshman year, the reason for her success was our older kids pouring into her. She always talked about, Naz Hillman, Leah Brown, Emily Kaiser, just pouring into her and helping her feel comfortable on the floor as a young player in our program. And her work ethic and her commitment to improve every year has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And she knows now, being a junior on our team, that it's her turn to have that leadership role and her turn to give back and her turn to pour into the younger kids, while at the same time continuing to improve her game. And I think when she went with USA Basketball this summer, she had an opportunity to play a different role. For us, we needed her to score so much last year. We needed her to defend the other team's best player. But she really embraced that role, and it was so fun to watch her this summer on that team, where she didn't have that scoring role, but she became a distributor, and she locked down some of the best players, women, in international basketball. So I think that really gave her a ton of confidence. We really talked a lot this summer when she was playing about her plus minus in games, and not necessarily how many points she scored in the box score, but how she affected the game. And I think she really grew as a player with that experience, and that has translated to our team this season. Thank you.
Hi, Drew Hom from Badger Notes. Last season, Jordan Hobbs had a really nice game against Wisconsin at the end of the year. She wasn't a full-time starter, but she did start a few games. What do you see her role being this season?
Yeah, great question, Drew. Jordan is a junior as well, and we always talk about, your freshman year, you're just trying to figure everything out. Well, your sophomore year, you have a little bit more figured out, but you're still a work in progress. By the time you become a junior, we always say, you're supposed to be on the other side now. You're supposed to really have an understanding. The game is really, hopefully has slowed down for you. Jordan was probably one of our best players on our foreign trip. She really, the game, and she told me after, she goes, Coach, now I really understand what you mean by slowing down. She sees the floor so well. She has become a great passer. She can really score the basketball. She's a 6'2" guard who can rebound the ball as well. She has tremendous length, can affect the game on the defensive end, but probably one of the best scorers we have on our team, and has now kind of understood how to make other players around her better as well. So expecting a great season for Jordan. She's an incredibly hard worker, has put in a ton of time in the off season, and I think she's going to have a great junior season. Thanks, Drew.
Hi, Coach. Megan Smith from the Michigan Daily. Last year, you mentioned that the identity of the team has changed over time, from running things through Caitlin Flaherty at the point to running things through the post through Naz Hillman. What do you predict the identity of the team is going to be this season?
Thank you, Michigan Daily, for being here. I think I understand now, watching from afar the last few years. I've watched other programs adjust to having fifth-year grad transfers. It's a position that we've never really been in. We had 2 fifth-year players last year, in Emily Kaiser and Leah Brown, but they both were in our program for a number of years. So this is the first time that we do have those grad transfers. So we're trying to figure that identity out right now. We're trying to gel with our new pieces. But obviously, when you have a potential All-American in Layla Filia, it's going to be important for us to showcase her strengths and to really have her involved and have her hands on the ball a lot. I think one of Layla's greatest strengths this season, and something she worked incredibly hard on in the off season was becoming a better passer and seeing the game and making other people around her better, and not just her ability to score the basketball. And we noticed that in practices she's leading our team in assists in practice as well as scoring. So we're definitely going to play through her, and Cameron Williams as a senior on this team is an important piece, getting post touches. So we're a work in progress, still haven't figured that out, but those are definitely two keys to our success.
On your left side.
Hey, Kim. Chantel Jennings with The Athletic, also a former Michigan Daily women's basketball writer. So nice to see you.
I love all my Michigan people here. Thanks, Chantel.
Yeah. I'm just curious, with the rapid growth of the WNBA in recent years, and obviously your guys' recent success with Naz and with Leah, how much more do you hear about the WNBA and sort of developing players for the WNBA through the recruiting process?
I think for the most part, probably not 100%, but a large percentage, it's every little girl's dream. I mean, it's every girl's dream to play in the WNBA. And I know, we have 3 players here. If you asked any of them, that's their dream. So I just think that, with the growth of the WNBA, it's been incredible. It's been wonderful for me as a coach, for women's basketball, for the mom of 2 daughters. We sat around our kitchen table yesterday and we watched that game over dinner, and we talked about it all night. We got to our plane this morning and it was the first thing we talked about. Hey, did everybody watch the game? So what an exciting time. And for Michigan to have 2 players in back-to-back years drafted, that's something that hasn't happened in the history of our program. I think it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for the players in our program to see it. You saw players come before you that are living your dream, and it's an exciting time for recruits that are being recruited by our program. Holy cow, Michigan players have gone on not just to play overseas, but to play in the W. So that's I just think it's just a great time for young girls. The other piece of it is, player development. I think, one of our greatest responsibilities as coaches, and this is something that we talk about all the time in recruiting, is to develop you to your full potential. And that's as a young woman, and that's as a basketball player. And, we owe that to your family in the recruiting process to do those things. So we want to help make you the best basketball player that we can make you. And at the end of the day, if that means you're going to play in the W, that's awesome. If that means that you went to the greatest university in the world and can now go to medical school, that's awesome. But I think part of our responsibility is to provide that platform.
Coach Kim Barnes-Arico, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Go Blue.
So well said by Coach Barnes-Arico. You see the chances to catch Michigan on TV this year, including the first of 5 Big Ten women basketball games on Fox this year, December 30th, as the Wolverines take on Ohio State. Coach Barnes-Arico talking a lot about the excitement surrounding women's college basketball. They were so excited this past season in Bloomington. What a year it was for the Hoosiers. They are now picked to finish second in the Big Ten by the media, and second in this league, good enough to be top 10 in the country. They have non-conference games against Tennessee and Stanford, and of course, Coach Teri Moren returns Mackenzie Holmes, who in any non-Caitlin Clark world is the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year. She was the Big Ten's Defensive Player of the Year and became the school's first-team All-American last season. Back to Sotvic at the stage.
Please welcome from Indiana University, head coach Teri Moren. Coach Moren was named Big Ten Coach of the Year and AP National Coach of the Year after leading the Hoosiers to their first Big Ten regular season title in 40 years. Coach Moren will begin with your opening statement.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be in Minnesota once again. It's hard to believe that it's that time of year again, but here it is, and the Hoosiers are ready. Looking forward to another great Big Ten Conference schedule. We do have a great non-con schedule as well that we're looking forward to. We're headed out west to visit Stanford, and then headed south to play a very good Tennessee team and a very good Princeton team while we're down there. All of those games will certainly get us ready for Big Ten play. There's no question that I said this last year. I really felt like we had the best conference in the country in terms of teams. I feel like we have another chance to be one of the best, if not the best, conferences in the country again, loaded with talent from top to bottom, great coaches, great players. And so the Indiana Hoosiers are looking forward to, once again, another great season. As you guys know, we have a core of our group returning. Mackenzie Holmes, Sydney Parrish, Chloe Moore-McNeil, Sarah Scalia, all starters that will be returning once again. We have big shoes to fill with the graduation of Grace Berger, who we're super proud of. We have some young kids that have had great summers for us. We're excited about the 2 freshmen we have, and Lene Beaumont and Jules Lamandola, amongst another transfer in Charnice Curry-Jelks will also be joining us. So we're excited once again for what's going to be an interesting, but I think an exciting basketball season ahead.
Thank you, Coach Moren. We'll open the floor now for questions.
Teri, Jack Ankeny, SI Indiana. You've openly set very high expectations, winning the Big Ten, making deep NCAA tournament runs. When you lose a player like Grace Berger, I guess what does that say about the program to be able to still set those expectations after losing a player of her caliber?
Well, I think it says that our staff has continued to do a tremendous job of bringing in very talented, high-caliber players into our program. You can't have the success that we've had just because you have one really good player in your program. It takes a team full of very skilled, high-character players to be able to maintain the level of success we've enjoyed. And so obviously losing Grace, big shoes, like I said, but we feel like we have a lot to look forward to in those remaining players. And, we just, with the success that we have had, we've been able to recruit some really high talented players, and that will continue to be the goal in our program.
Todd Golden with CNHI. Teri Grace was such an important player on the court, but even more so off the court in terms of her presence in the locker room. You have a veteran team, a lot of players who have played, but is there any one player or a group of players that has kind of taken on that inside the locker room leadership role?
Well, that's one of the legacies I think that all of our players, the Allie Patbergs, the Grace Bergers, the Mackenzie Holmes will leave when she's graduated from Indiana. Is one of the things that we can do as a staff every night is sleep peaceful when we think about our culture and that locker room, that it is well taken care of with the likes of Mackenzie Holmes, and now add Sid Parrish into that, add Chloe Moore-McNeil into that. It's a very healthy locker room. It's a very competitive locker room. And the great thing about, what Grace gave us and Allie Patberg gave us was, sort of a scouting report of what that looks like. And, Mackenzie has certainly taken the role over as being the leader in the locker room. And in our young players, are going to benefit from that. And so I know that all eyes are on Mackenzie and Sid and Chloe in terms of how they go about their work every day. I can't give you, they're a great example of what it looks like and what it's going to need to look like, after their days in Indiana are over.
Straight back.
Hi, Good morning. Coach. Good morning. Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. You were speaking of the veteran leadership and a lot of players returning. How have the freshmen been, I guess, led by the older group? And what have you seen in that dynamic, and how have they acclimated their skill set and their mentality to this new challenge in front of them?
Well, at times, you could look at them and say that they're, drinking water from a fire hose, right? The looks that they have on their faces from time to time. But, I will say this. Many of you probably know that we had the opportunity to travel to Greece, this summer for our international trip. And it's such a special thing when you have the opportunity to do that. And you have the 10 days, certainly, of practice prior to. And so, our leadership has been great. Lene and Jules have, like you said, they have the best examples in Mac and Sid and the rest of those women of, getting in the gym and how we do things and so forth. And so, they got a little bit of a head start, that they're not just coming back and hitting the floor, running because of all the practice time that they had leading up to it. And so I think they look very comfortable. Certainly there's things that they're, still learning. There's moments where, they're disappointed. But I will say they're pleasers and they want to do the right thing all the time. And our job is just to make sure that we are allowing them to be in a space where they can make a lot of mistakes, but also learn and then move on from those mistakes. And they've been great. They're so coachable. They're likable kids, and they really look up to and respect Mac and Chloe and the rest of those older vets. So, they've been great. They've been a thrill to coach.
And just a quick follow-up on that. With the returning players, what have you seen from them and the extra added fire in the belly?
Sure.
Not just as leaders, but in
Yeah.
their skill set and their
Yeah.
drive.
Well, nothing about their work ethic has changed. The extra work that we pride ourselves in doing, it's day to day and it's every day. And so, I think that we've just continued to not look back, in the rearview mirror. It's all about what we have to look forward to, and just trying to get a little bit better, every day. And this is once again, our chemistry is off the charts in terms of them, being connected, super competitive practices, which I love. But there's a love for each other too that's in that locker room that shows on the floor that they really are for each other and about each other. And that's an intangible that all great teams have to have.
Coach Teri Moren, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
guys.
time.
Like so many of the other top teams in this league, the schedule is pretty tough for Indiana. You see Tennessee and Princeton, very good Princeton team, back-to-back late in November before the Hoosiers get into that Big Ten schedule, which will be as challenging as it has ever been. Welcome back to continuing live coverage of 2023 Big Ten Basketball Media Days from the Target Center in Minneapolis. Hosted the women's tournament this past spring. Great turnouts, the same certainly expected when it hosts that tournament for a second consecutive March coming up in 2024. And coming up next, we're set to hear from one of the league's first-year head coaches as Robyn Fralick takes over in East Lansing. Spartans return 8 players from last year's team that did finish above 500, added a couple of transfers as well as Fralick looks to lead the Spartans back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since they appeared in the Big Dance in 2021. As we take you back to the stage here at the Target Center.
Our next coach from Michigan State University. Please welcome to the podium for the first time, first-year coach Robyn Fralick. Coach Fralick will begin with your opening statement. Welcome to the Big Ten, and then we'll open the floor for questions.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really grateful to be at Michigan State. I'm really grateful to be back home. It's where I was born and raised, and it's been a great start. Some things that have stood out about our team and our program so far, I've been really impressed with our work ethic, and I've been really impressed with our pursuit of getting better. I know we have a great challenge ahead of us with our season and with our conference, and I'm really honored to be part of this great conference, and I'm excited for the challenge and journey ahead.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions.
Morning, Coach. Cindy Brunson, play-by-play Phoenix Mercury. Thanks to Matt Ishbia, fellow Michigan Stater, you guys were able to go to the desert, check out all the facilities, and of course a brand new practice facility is on the way for the Mercury as well. What did that session for you and your group mean over the summer as you build the Spartans?
Well, I love that you bring that up. Matt Ishbia is an amazing Spartan national champion and great supporter of Michigan State. And so our staff had the opportunity to head out there and spend some time with the staff and the team and get the full experience. And one of our biggest takeaways when we got back was how great of facilities we have at Michigan State too. I mean, we left really feeling like, all right, this is what the pros have, and we offer just state-of-the-art facilities and resources. And to have that connection, to have a Michigan State grad own a WNBA team is something that we really value in our program and what we can offer.
Second row on your left.
Hi, Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. As one of two first-year coaches in this very deep conference, what do you anticipate being the biggest challenge for you acclimating yourself to this? What might be the best conference in the country right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's part of the challenge ahead when you're new is figuring out, the context, the level, tendencies, teams. And when I took over at Bowling Green State University, it was the same sort of challenge when you get into a new league. But we're excited for the challenge. 17's in the tournament last year. It's some of the highest level of basketball. I just think that we're going to have a lot to learn, and we're going to operate out of the posture of knowing that and giving our team best possibilities and to be successful.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge for you coming in and seeing all the new faces in the gym, kind of like a lump of clay? What have you been able to accomplish, and what is still yet to be accomplished with what you want to implore as your philosophy for the program?
Well, it's interesting with transitions. They take a lot of time and energy. For example, my family, I think we've all been together in the same space now for maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So even just moving a family, I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and finding a place and the energy it takes with figuring out how to use the copier and your phone. There's all those sort of transitional pieces. But we've kind of recently especially found our tread and our rhythm with us all being in the same spot. And with the team, I'm not naive to the fact that when you come in as a new leader with a new team, that there's a lot of emotional continuum that goes with that, new, exciting, challenging, frustrating, as we all sort of do this together. And I think the biggest thing is we just name it, there's a challenge in this, and we're going to be in this together, and let's figure out how to do that. And for us, culture is incredibly important. It's something that we have a high importance on every single day of who we are and what we're about and how we're going to act and how we're going to treat each other in our huddle and how we're going to work. And, day by day, step by step, if you stay consistent and intentional with those things, I think kids can really, really thrive with that consistency. So, as a staff, that's something we've been putting a big premium on.
Coach Fralick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Michigan State head coach Robyn Fralick set to start her first campaign with the Spartans. You see the schedule awaiting Michigan State. Like everybody else in this league, going to have to win those games, especially at home and in the non-conference, to get you set for the toughest league in the entire country. The dream for Robyn Fralick is to return Michigan State to the NCAA tournament. That dream became reality for Katie Gearlds and the Purdue Boilermakers a year ago, as Purdue made the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2017. Always helps on the recruiting trail, as the Boilers signed 3 top 100 recruits in this year's class, and the schedule even outside the Big Ten challenging, as Purdue will play 5 Power 5 schools in non-conference play, 4 of those away from home. Back to Sotvik at the stage.
Next up, from Purdue University, head coach Katie Gearlds. Coach Gearlds will begin her 3rd season with the Boilermakers after making the program's first NCAA tournament appearance since 2017. Coach Gearlds will begin with your opening statement.
Good morning. I'm not one for great opening statements, but I'll give it my best shot here. It's good to be back here, obviously. I'm a little biased to the Big Ten tournament being in Indianapolis, but I thought Minneapolis really, really rocked it last year. It was just the environment around the city, the fans, everywhere we walked last year. It was just a great place to be. So if it can't be in Indy, I'm solid with it being here. Last year I think we took a great step for our program, getting back into the tournament. While be it a play-in game, we were just excited to have that experience. Got a good solid 5 back this year. Then we had 2 sophomore transfers out of the portal, and then 6 freshmen. Most days I think I'm crazy for having 6 freshmen on my team, but it's been a really fun challenge and just a lot of great energy in our program right now. Like couple non-conference challenges. We open at UCLA. We're starting things back up with Notre Dame, so we'll play at Notre Dame, and then obviously the gauntlet of the Big Ten. So hopefully our non-conference schedule challenges us enough to get ready for the Big Ten. But just excited to get things going.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor for questions for Coach Gearld. Third row on your left side.
Todd Golden with CNHI. Katie, you got a core of Janae and Abby and Caitlin coming back. How have they kind of challenged themselves to kind of continue to climb the mountain that you started to climb last season?
Yeah, I think that just says a lot about who they are. Both Janae and Abby are in their 5th year. They took their COVID year, and Caitlin's in her 6th year. And then you throw in Madison Layden, who's a senior for us, and then Jayla Smith, who is a junior. Those are our 5 core. But I think they're just hungry. I think we got a little bit of a taste of it last year, where we want Purdue to be. And, I think it starts with those 5 and their leadership. Their ability to lead our young people right now has just been tremendous. Makes our job easy from a coaching standpoint, and really just kind of give them the ball and kind of let them lead the way. And as coaches, we'll just try to get out of the way as much as we can.
Straight back.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. With the 6 freshmen, what have you seen from your core group of 5 returners in terms of their leadership qualities? And I just heard you say you just get out of the way, but do you get out of the way totally when you have those 6 freshmen in the hands of your leaders there?
Yeah, right now the 6 freshmen are in the hands of our returners, and then our assistant coaches, I get out of the way. It's we actually added a couple really good pieces to our staff. Mark Stevens came over from Toledo, and then everybody knows Kelly Kamara, member of the 99 National Championship team for Purdue. So a lot of great energy around our program. But it is. So we have the 5 returners make it really, really easy. But we also have 6 young people that really, really love Purdue and that are passionate about getting Purdue back to where we all hope it'll be one day.
Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. Coach, as you build on the success that you had last season, what do you think the identity of your team this season will be?
I think just keep building on what we've been building, and that's just being a tough out, being tough to beat every single night. We're chasing the likes of Iowa and Ohio State and Maryland and Indiana. We're chasing those guys. And so just making sure we're a tough out. Along the way, maybe we find an opportunity to take one of those teams out. But we've got a long way to go to get to where those guys are. But we want to stay the course every day and just be a tough out. Really, that's what we preach every day. Make sure we compete every second and be hard to beat.
Questions for Coach Gearld. All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Fascinating to hear these coaches talk about a lot of the games against USC, UCLA, some of the teams that will be joining the league next year. But as for this season, the worry is the Big Ten schedule against a league once again considered to be among, if not the very best in the country. Here is the Purdue slate and what Katie Gearlds and company look to build on as they try to get back to the NCAA tournament. It is all about the momentum being built right now in Champaign after a 22-win season last year, the most in any season since 99-2000. The Illini made it back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2003, and with players like Kendall Bostic and Mckeown Cook back in the fold, the same or even higher expected this year for head coach Shauna Green, as we take you back to the stage and the official introduction of our next head coach.
To the stage, from the University of Illinois, head coach Shauna Green. Coach Green is beginning her second season with the Illini after leading the program to its first NCAA tournament appearance in 20 years. Coach Green will begin with your opening statement.
Good morning. It's great to be back. 1 year has made a big difference in where we're at as a program, so it's really excited to start year 2. Obviously last year we made some strides in our program. Definitely not where we want to get to, but a great start. And it's very nice to have our returning 5 starters back and added some depth this year with 2 freshmen and 2 transfers where, we really needed depth last year. We just were not deep enough. So address some spots where we knew that we needed to get better at through the transfer portal, and like I said, with freshmen. So practices are going really well. Super excited to get going. We have a scrimmage actually next Sunday. So it's coming and then ready to get rolling on November 7th with our opening game. And our schedule as well, non-conference, we upped it from last year. Which was needed, and we'll continue to hopefully, add to that in terms of the competition level that we have. But excited about this group, and again, it's nice to have now a year under our belt with returners coming back that understand expectations, our standards, our system, and our style. So it'll hopefully be a great year, and excited about this league. I think the league is so deep this year. It's going to be another really tough battle every single night with every single team in this conference.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions. On your left side.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. You said that the players have learned a lot from last year, but what have you learned as a coach about your team?
I don't have enough time up here to talk about that, but, just what they're made of. I think, last year was just a year of firsts for everything with our team. So, the first time, every single night was a first. So I've just learned how they respond. I've learned what makes them really tick, how to motivate them. One thing last year I learned throughout the season, we never lost 2 games in a row besides, unfortunately, the time it mattered most in the NCAA tournament. We lost, obviously, in the Big Ten and then in the NCAA tournament. But I think that shows the toughness and the resiliency of our group. So, every day they teach me something new, and I just love, again, the work ethic, the resiliency, the togetherness, and really last year just also learned how quickly they bought in and believed, which isn't always the case when you take over a program and have a new group. So, again, it's a learning process every single day.
On your left here.
Hi, Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. I was wondering if you could talk about what you as a coach learned in your first trip through the Big Ten, and maybe what advice you'd have for the 2 new coaches in this conference that are about to experience what you went through last year.
Yeah, you know that the Big Ten, it's why I left Dayton to come here, is because you want to play against the best, and you want to, compete against the best coaches in the country, the best players in the country. So it's ultra competitive, but then it's different when you feel it and when you go through it. I mean, every single night, it's just an absolute battle. And again, every program has different schemes and, different types of things that you have to prepare for. So I think but again, you don't really know until you go through it a year. And I probably, only 1 year in, I still don't know everything. I'll learn a ton again, this year. So, and advice for the and I've talked to a couple of them, it's literally, I really believe you just got to, and it's how I approach it still, you got to take one day at a time. You can never get too far ahead of yourself, and you can never get too high, too low, because it's all about how do you prepare today, how do you be the best that you can be today, and then whatever happens in that game, it's you gotta turn it quickly. But you can't really, again, you got to stay pretty even keel in this league.
Cindy Brunson, NBC. I just want to know, from your perspective, now that you've got the year under your belt, a couple of surprises from you on your team this year, from a newcomer and from a vet.
That's a good question. You know, from a newcomer, I would say, as a freshman, you know, Gretchen Dolan has been really, really good. I knew she was a good player, but just seeing how quickly she's transitioned and caught on to stuff, she's ahead of the game for a freshman, and I think that she's really going to help us. And then from our transfer, I think just Camille Hobby from NC State, you know, she comes in as a fifth year, and what she's been able to bring with experience and just, you know, her ability to be able to make an impact right away has really been helpful for us. And then from our veterans, you know, I think that our core group, and even the three that are here today, and KB and Mckeown and Jen, their leadership has taken to another level. And I think that that's a big thing as we go forward, you know, and what our culture is about is how are they going to lead? How are they going to bring our team along? And I think that they've taken a whole nother step in terms of their leadership, which I firmly believe is going to pay off on the court.
Questions for Coach Green?
The Illini posting their TV schedule as well, in case you can't make it to a game down in Champaign. You see that non-conference game against Missouri is a Big Ten Network game, and so many games, either on the Big Ten Network, FS1, or Fox, in conference competition for Shauna Green and the Illini, looking to get back to the NCAA tournament for a second consecutive year. Hard to believe Amy Williams has been with the Huskers now for 7 seasons, 114 and 99 overall. Along with Ohio State, Huskers one of only 2 teams to have multiple All-Big Ten preseason selections as they put together consecutive winning seasons over the last 2 years for the first time since 15 and 16, hosting 2 NCAA tournament teams from last year's field in non-conference play, that being neighbor Creighton and Southern, as well as the Huskers look to get back to the NCAA tournament for the second time in the past 3 seasons.
Next, please welcome from the University of Nebraska, head coach Amy Williams. Coach Williams is entering her 8th season with the Huskers. Coach, will begin with your opening statement.
Hi, thank you, and just really, really excited to be back here in Minneapolis today, and just an exciting time of year. I am absolutely loving coaching the team that I'm blessed to coach right now, and we had an outstanding experience traveling internationally this August, so we're incredibly grateful to the University of Nebraska for sending us on that experience, and that trip just showed me a lot about this team. We have an outstanding blend of some really experienced, talented players, and then a great mix of some newcomers that just bring some attitude and spunk and just complement our returning players very well. And so it's just an exciting time. My staff and I love going to practice every day, and so I think that usually equates to great things.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions.
Amy.
Hi, Amy. Just with that blend of new players, a new coach, returning coaches, returning players, how do you see y'all's team identity as it stands right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I feel like, the extra practices this summer and our trip to Greece have taught us maybe a little more than we would know about our identity up to this point normally. And so I just feel like it's a team that is extremely genuinely excited for each other's successes, and so that really bodes well. And one thing I asked our leaders to get with all of their teammates and come up with kind of the 4 core values that they really wanted this team to be known for and to really lean into heavy. And so they kind of identified those, and trust, accountability, communication, and consistency were kind of the 4 things they really wanted to. And we've seen that throughout practice, is just they come consistently every day, are extremely excited to work, to get better, to want to push each other, but yet still be excited for each other when they see their teammates experiencing success.
Good morning, Drew Hom from Badger Notes. With Darian White transferring in, she had a great season last year at Montana State, distributing the ball among many other things. How do you see her and Jazz Shelley working together on the court?
Yeah, what an absolute treat. I mean, Darian has just been a little fire plug for our team. She is amazing, plays hard on both sides of the ball. I think at one point in her career at Montana State, being a defensive player of the year in the league, as well as just multiple time first team all conference. We know she's been well coached throughout her career, and so we were really excited. But once we actually got her in and saw the way that she pushes pace and really is a great passer and finds people, I think Jazz finds herself the beneficiary of a lot of Darian's penetration and passes, and they play really, really well together, and so it's been exciting to watch.
Hello, Coach.
Hi, Christy.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. With Alexis Markowski, and this being yet another year for her to build, what have you seen in her that's been a little bit different, or what has she added to her skill set or mentality?
Yeah, thanks for asking about Alexis. And I'll tell you, this summer she had an opportunity with USA Basketball. And I think that just really sparked another fire kind of underneath her, and just instilled a lot of confidence. I think she was able to go and really train with and against the best players in the country. And I think it taught her a lot about some of the things that she really does well that have put her in the position to be recognized at that level, but also kind of highlighting some of the things she really wants to focus on getting better at. And we've seen just a really focused determination for her. She's talked to me specifically, personally, on a number of occasions about wanting to become more efficient with her field goal percentages, and being able to really be able to be dependent upon to finish at a high rate in the paint. And I think a player like her that led the Big Ten in double-doubles a year ago, but to see the work she's putting in to improve her footwork and balance, and it's paying off with the way she's been finishing in practice. And so we're really excited about what she has in front of her.
Questions for Coach Williams? On your right side.
Hi, Candace Johnson. How have you seen the conference overall grow and, transform over the years during your tenure, having been a part of the Big Ten?
Thanks for the question, Candace. Yeah, I think obviously, there's been great players in this league from the day that I came in as a head coach. We noticed, all the talented players, but I feel like every single program has found ways to just continue to raise the bar with the talent that they're putting up and down rosters. But I think it's really evident when you start going to sold-out arenas on a regular basis. And just last year, at Nebraska, we experienced the largest attended women's basketball game in our program's history, and we saw great 30% growth in our attendance at Nebraska. And we've always known Husker Nation is pretty special, but it's not just there. It's everywhere we go, it feels like attendance is growing and people are taking a vested interest, and I think that's a testament to the product that we're putting out on the floor. We have beautiful, talented, smart, just creative young women that play in this league, and people are noticing that, and they're coming out to watch a very good brand of basketball and great entertainment, and so I think for me that's where I've seen the most growth.
Morning, Coach. Cindy
Morning.
Brunson, NBC. When you look on the floor, what jersey number do you look to make sure things are running the right way, the way you want them to for Cornhusker basketball?
Yeah, Cindy, I think it comes down to Jaz Shelley, and she's a fifth-year player now, and is beginning her third year in our program, and I think just an incredibly talented player, but really balanced with her emotion. She speaks. People listen. That's just how our team really responds to Jaz, and so I feel comfortable in situations in practice where I can just say, "Hey, Jaz, take it," and you call the play, and she thinks the game. She's very high IQ. She's had so many experiences both for Basketball Australia and throughout her collegiate career that I think that leadership is something that she works harder than any player on our team, and so. That's something that her teammates just really respect, and so she's earned the right to have that role.
Coach, you were talking about the 30% increase in attendance, but then there was also that huge volleyball event there. How do you think that level of momentum will carry into your program this year?
It's really hard to put into words. I mean, just such an incredible event. Our entire team experienced that event, 93,000 people for a women's sporting event at the University of Nebraska. It was really special, and I just got teary-eyed and chills myself being in that environment. And Coach Cook and his staff have been very good to me personally and our coaching staff, and sharing a lot of ideas. So to watch that happen, we obviously share an athlete with our volleyball team and Maggie Mendelson, and to watch her out there on that court in the middle of Memorial Stadium is pretty really special night for Nebraska athletics and for every young woman in our state and really across the country.
Coach Williams, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
See Nebraska doing what many of the other school social media accounts have done today with the TV schedule set for everybody inside the Big Ten. You see all the Cornhusker games, where you can see them, and what time they're getting started coming up in the 23-24 Big Ten women's basketball season. Back at the Target Center, our women's basketball staff never stops working. Mckeown interviewing Brenda Frese. Watch for McKenna Marisa this year. Could have a monster season for the Lady Lions. We continue Media Days coverage from Target Center here in Minneapolis. You just saw Megan McKeown. You are about to hear from her dad, Joe McKeown, beginning his 16th season as the head coach of Northwestern women's basketball, and the consistency has been terrific. The Wildcats have finished 500 or better in Big Ten play in 4 of the last 5 and 5 of the last 7 seasons. Expect a lot from freshman Crystal Wang. Why? Because she comes as a recruit from the top-ranked high school team in the nation out in Sierra Canyon. Let's take you back to the stage. We are getting set to hear from Northwestern head coach Joe McKeown.
Our next coach is Joe McKeown from Northwestern University. Coach McKeown has led the Wildcats since 2008. Coach McKeown will start with your opening statement, and then we will open the floor for questions.
Thank you, and excited to be here. I just would would like to take a moment. One of our great players, Veronica Burton, who plays for the Dallas in the WNBA, and one of the great Big Ten players of all time. Just thinking about her, and the reason I bring that up, she signed a contract to play in Israel, and was at the airport in Boston on a flight to go to Tel Aviv, and fortunately was able to, get off of that and move forward. And we've had any number, like Israel is such a great basketball pro opportunity. We have a lot of players that have played there, and I have players that live there now. So just wanted to take a moment and, keep them in our prayers. It's a very difficult time, but moving forward to Big Ten Media Day, just really excited to get back going. Fortunate enough now to be in my 16th year at Northwestern, I think my 40th year in women's college basketball, and trying to figure out on the flight how to guard Caitlin Clark. So I come up with 2 things on the way, and we'll see how that goes. But we had an opportunity. Dr. Greg, our athletic director, gave our team an opportunity this summer to go to Spain and play, and we had a great trip. Won 3 games, and it just gave us a chance to bond as a team. We're used to winning at a high level. We're used to winning championships and top 20 teams, and last year was a little tough. So our approach now is to just put our head down and go to work. And I think the Spain trip really helped us, and I got some great young players. So I think you'll see the Wildcats, right back where we were, and really looking forward to the season. We carved out a brutal schedule, which I want to challenge our team. We're at Notre Dame. We're in tournaments with Stanford and Florida State. So hopefully by the time the Big Ten hits, we'll be ready. And I have 2 players here today, one a senior, Paige Mott, and the other a junior, Kaylee Walsh, that I think have chances to be all Big Ten players, and really, like I said, have taken on the challenge of coming off last year, and leadership-wise too. So we're, like I said, we're really excited about this season. This will be obviously our last opportunity to play some teams. Our schedule will change, I know, with the addition of 4 West Coast teams. So no idea how that's going to go, but it's just, we're in a great league, men and women, and it's just fun to be part of it. So appreciate any questions, and you're going to see a different Northwestern team this year. So you guys get in free, but buy some tickets too, man.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions.
Hey, Coach Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Having been in this league as long as you have, obviously next year there's going to be an enormous change again, but I was wondering if you could just talk about, in your opinion, how much better this league is, or maybe how deeper this league is since you first joined it.
Yeah, man, I've been here through the expansion of, when we added Nebraska, and then when we added Rutgers and Maryland, and to look at the 4 USC, UCLA, but Washington and Oregon. But when we added, the common thread when we added Nebraska, Maryland, and Rutgers, what a lot of people, whatever reason, think about this: 3 programs that had great women's basketball when they came into our league. Big crowds, credible coaches. You're talking about, the Vivian Stringers of the world. Nebraska, I think the year before they came in our league was 32-1 in women's basketball. And then Maryland came into our league after winning the national championship. So, they hit the league hard, and I think it took some adjustment on us. And I think once that happened, it just became so much more balanced. And I think, the addition of the 4 West Coast teams now, all 4, and I played all 4 places. They love women's basketball at all 4, great talent. So I think it makes the league, I think we'll be the best league in the country, and we'll certainly be the deepest.
right side, Coach.
Sir.
Morning, Coach.
Hey.
First of all, go Birds, 5-0. Second of all, you mentioned Mott and Walsh as leaders on your team. What about transfer Maggie Pina? What are you looking for her on the court and in the locker room this year?
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm an Eagles fan. I was a beer vendor at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia and survived to talk about it today. So I should get some cred. Maggie Pina is an amazing story. Actually, a kid from Philly who has scored 990-some points in her career at Boston U. One of the great shooters. And we couldn't shoot last year. So every time we talk recruiting, which is every day, the main focus, well, we got to shoot. We got to find somebody to shoot. And so her first game in Spain, she was 6 for 6 with 5 threes. So she ain't going to play any defense, but she's going to make shots. I can guarantee you that.
Hey, Joe. Chantel Jennings with The Athletic.
Of course.
If you have any appropriate beer vendor stories, I'm sure we're all ears on those. But actual question, if you want to do that one too, though. I'm curious, all the time that you've spent in women's college basketball, does this moment in terms of how many people are watching, which players are known, how many different individual players are known, does this feel pretty different to you?
You know, I appreciate the question. And to give you, I loved at GW, we had great teams, top team. I'd always play Pat Summitt. I played Gino Auriemma. We always, I saw the growth of our game and what they did to help it grow. And now you're seeing the depth from a player standpoint. I love where the WNBA is right now as far as how deep. And unfortunately, it's too deep. There's too many good players. We need to expand. And I know we're starting to do that. And, I've been fortunate enough to, over the last 25, 30 years, see it all happen right in front of me, and it's great to see it explode. I thought last year's Final Four in Dallas just gave us an amazing shot in the arm, and not that it hasn't been great before that, but when the national media and when fans take an interest that aren't women's basketball fans, maybe they're the casual fan or the sports fan even. I think that all came together for us last year, and it was great to see it and be part of it, and hopefully it's not a one-hit wonder, hopefully, and I don't think it will be, but there's so many great players now. It's so deep, and I can tell you, I sat I'm the defensive coach that held Rachel Banham to 60 points, so. And then I watch, and I'm like, she should be playing every game somewhere. And so I think all those great players, I have a lot of them that played for me that are playing in Europe right now that should be in the WNBA. We just don't have enough spots, and I think that's a big challenge.
Final question, Coach.
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. When you went to Spain and won those 3 games, what did you feel changed with your team in terms of the confidence coming into this season?
Yeah, Christy, I think, and you've seen so much, I think what it did, and we played good teams. I had 3 great Spanish players at GW, pros and Olympians, and the level of competition's really good. I counted those 3 games in my record now, so I'm the all-time win leader, men and women in the Big Ten, something like that. But I counted those games in camp games. But I feel like it just made, it organically made you play better. European basketball is very physical. When you come over half court, you get cracked. The referees are their cousins, and they, you just get up and play. It was. We had to show some toughness and some grit. We came from behind in a couple games. So I just loved how it brought our team together, and hopefully it'll carry over.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Guys, thank you. Thank you.
I could listen to Joe McKeown all day long as you take a look at Northwestern's 23-24 Big Ten schedule. I do want to hear more of those beer vendor stories, and Coach started by saying he came up with 2 ways to defend Caitlin Clark. I think everybody in the country wants to know what those 2 ways are, because if one of them works, everybody's going to try to copy it. Speaking of Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, we were about to hear from Hawkeye head coach Lisa Bluder in just a second. No surprise to see the Hawks pick to finish first in the Big Ten by both the coaches and the media. Top 6 in the Athletics, top 25 poll. Of course, Caitlin Clark is not only the Big Ten preseason player of the year, but the 2-time reigning player of the year as the Hawks try to take down the Big Ten tournament for a 3rd straight year and try to cross over that one hurdle that they were just short of last year, and that is winning the national championship. Let's head back to the stage and check in once again with Sotvik.
Now coming to the stage from the University of Iowa, head coach Lisa Bluder. Coach Bluder will begin her 24th season at Iowa after leading the Hawkeyes on a thrilling run to the NCAA championship game last season. Coach Bluder will begin with your opening statement.
Thank you. Darn, it feels pretty good to be back in this building, I have to be honest. Good vibes in here. And think back 6 months ago when we turned this place into black and gold Carver North. Pretty fun. Hope it'll be a fun time in 6 more months for sure. But, we're excited about this season like everybody else, and this kind of kicks it all off for us. I was kind of surprised actually to see the rankings. This conference is so good. There's going to be so many surprises. It's loaded. This conference is loaded, definitely. And we lost 40% of our starting lineup. Some really experienced players that were, 4-year starters for us. And so it's tough to replace those two. But we do have this young girl coming. Maybe you know her. Her name, Caitlin, I think, something. She's pretty good, too. And so we'll obviously build around her. We do return Gabby Marshall, Kate Martin as well in the starting lineup. And I think Molly Davis is playing really well. I think Hannah Stalkey's playing really well for us. We have a really good schedule, a very challenging non-conference schedule, and you have to have that to prepare yourself for the grueling Big Ten conference. And so we're gonna challenge ourselves for sure. 11 of our games on our schedule right now are against top 25 opponents, and so we will be challenging ourselves. But when they come into Carver, it's going to be one hostile environment. We have sold out every single game, every single ticket. So we're excited about having. We want to get that national attendance record. We will be hosting in 6 days in Kinnick Stadium. We've sold about 48,000 tickets to play in Kinnick Stadium. So that will be the first televised women's basketball game of the year, and we want to kick it off in a good fashion.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions. On your left side.
Coach, good morning. Kayla with Sports Philanthropy Network. Every year I come in and I talk with Caitlin about her commitment to Special Olympics. And for the last few years, it's been Monica and her commitment to DEI. What is the secret sauce for a winning team who does so good academically, on the court, and in the community?
It goes back to recruiting, right? It goes to recruiting young women that want to win, also want to graduate, and they want to, be good role models. And you have to want all those things to be a successful student athlete at the University of Iowa. So I'm proud of the women. This year we've already done a Habitat for Humanity women's build. We've done numerous visits to the Children's Hospital, which, by the way, all the proceeds from our game next week will be benefiting the Children's Hospital. And we're really excited to do the wave at the end of the first quarter to all the kids in the hospital, just like they do at the football games.
Hi, Amy Just, Lincoln Journal-Star. With your match in Kinnick coming up, I guess what were your takeaways from the Nebraska volleyball match in the stadium, and just how excited are you for your match, just knowing what Nebraska could do with theirs?
Yeah, I could tell you watched the volleyball game and you call theirs a match. So, we're very excited. And I obviously watched the match at Lincoln. It was amazing. I mean, probably one of the best women's sporting events we've ever had, and elevated all women's sports. And so that was thrilling. we had planned this before we knew that they were going to do that in Nebraska, and I'm just thrilled that we had a staff, administration that backed us in this, because as you may know, that there's a lot of extra work that goes into putting a basketball court and a football field, and I'm just so proud of our administration that they've been behind us 100% with this. But yeah, what they did at Nebraska was phenomenal.
Morning, Coach. Cindy Brunson, NBC Sports. Several of the coaches that preceded you this morning talked about being kept up at night by that Clark individual on your roster. So to you, which teams and or players in the Big Ten are giving you concern as we start the season?
I mean, there's so many. You know, and I look at Ohio State's roster, I mean, it is just loaded. I've always been a big JC fan. I mean, she's just tremendous. I look at Indiana's roster. I got to spend some time with Mackenzie Holmes at the Wooden Awards this year. I mean, she's spectacular. I mean, you could go on and on. I think every team has a secret weapon that, you know, they're going to build their team around that are just so good. But yeah, it's an amazing conference.
Hi, Coach. Christy Winter-Scott, Big Ten Network. Everyone talks about the cadence and fluidity on the floor, and you said you're missing 40% of your starters, but when you really boil everything down, it comes down to mentality. And how much of last year's success carries over to this year, and how do you kind of gauge how to just look forward and not necessarily look back?
Yeah, we turned the page. We're not, you know, but I want the players to understand what we accomplished last year. I mean, that championship game was the most watched television audience ever in women's basketball, and I want them to relish in that. I want them to know it's possible, because if you don't know it's possible, it's hard to accomplish it. So I want them to know it's possible, but absolutely, you know, we've turned the page. We're moving on. We know this is a whole different basketball team. But we did have our foreign tour this year, and it allowed us to have the 10 extra practices. And by the way, if you've never been to Croatia, I highly recommend it. It was put it on your bucket list. It was tremendous.
Questions for Coach Bluder? All right, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is Iowa head coach Lisa Bluder. You're looking now at Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin showing off those championship rings during the Iowa Hawkeye football game on Saturday. Obviously, Caitlin Clark looking for one more ring this year. We heard from one first-year head coach already in Robyn Fralick. Now here in the Twin Cities, they're getting to know Coach Dawn Plitzuweit, or Coach P as she is affectionately called. First year with the Gophers. Top 4 players in minutes per game are back last year, so there certainly is a nucleus, as Coach also adds a couple of transfers, looking to get back to some of the great success they've enjoyed here in Minneapolis. As we take you back to the stage in Sotvic.
Next up, from the University of Wisconsin, head coach Marisa Moseley. Coach Moseley is readying for her 3rd season with the Badgers after directing the team to its best Big Ten finish in the last 11 years. Coach Moseley, we'll start with your opening statement.
All right. You know I have to give you a shout-out to shout-out. I mean, dang. Every year it gets better.
Thank you.
Every year it gets better. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously, you're only here for the University of Wisconsin, so thank you so much for that. I'm Marisa Moseley. I'm going into my 3rd year here with the Badgers. Really excited. We actually are celebrating 50 years of Wisconsin women's basketball this year, and very excited about this young team that I have. We actually are returning Sarah Williams, who I feel is one of the best post players in the country. I have Brooke Schramek, who her and Hallie Douglas, who are both seniors for us, are really glue players. And Hallie's coming off of an ACL. We're so excited to have her coming back. Brooke has been just a phenomenal piece to the puzzle for us, and really kind of her versatility is the epitome of what we look for in a Wisconsin Badger. We have actually 10 underclassmen, so if you see more gray hairs on my head this year, it's because of them. So you're welcome in advance. But no, I'm so excited about this young core that we have, 5 true freshmen. And, one of the things that I think was really important this summer is that we took a foreign tour to Italy, and it really bonded this group of young women together. And this is the most cohesive unit that I've had since I've been here. And we know we have an uphill battle to get back to the NCAA tournament, but that is absolutely the goal, and we feel very confident that we will be able to accomplish that this year. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Questions for Coach Moseley?
Morning, Coach. Cindy Brunson, NBC Sports. You mentioned the 50th anniversary of women's basketball for Wisconsin. Any special celebrations planned this season?
Yeah, so we have, obviously, with any celebration, you need a logo. So we have that for sure. But no, we're also going to have some honorary captains. We'll have a patch on our uniform. There'll be a lot of information that we share throughout the season, both on socials and within the arena, to celebrate the women who have come through our program. Last year, we actually retired the jersey of Teresa Huff, who was a great at Wisconsin, and will be coming back this year with her family to some games. And so I think it's just an overall kind of fantastic way to feature the women who came before us. And, we have pillars in our program. One of them is legacy, and that we have a responsibility to the women who came before us to leave the place better than we found it. And so for us, that's really important that we do that not only in word, but in action.
On your right side.
Okay, thank you.
Michael McCleary, the Wisconsin State Journal. Obviously, you had 9 freshmen last year and quite a few again this year. I mean, what are some of the benefits of building with a young team when you're trying to rebuild one of the top teams in the Big Ten? And, I guess on the flip side, what are some of the difficulties year after year?
Yeah, I think for sure the benefits are they don't know what they don't know. So you come in and you're extremely confident. You've been kind of the best where you're coming from in high school. And, each year that I'm here, you're getting another core group of kids who are bought into who you are and what you're trying to accomplish as a program. And so, their youth can be a benefit because they're excited, they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, they're ready to get after it. And at the same time, they have quite a bit to learn. They're going against grown women when they step onto the floor, especially once you get into Big Ten play. And so only time can give you experience, and we often tell our kids that time is undefeated. So they're going to keep getting older. My goal is that each year, not only do we add another core group of young players, but that we're absolutely kind of making sure that group that came before them and before them, we're retaining them, right? And so I think for me, my philosophy has been in recruiting that in order to sustain success and get to a certain level and then be able to sustain it, we've got to make sure that we have younger players. It's pretty well documented, haven't been as heavy in the portal. And for me, my mentality has been, in order for us to really build a championship program, we got to get 4-year kids who are dedicated to Wisconsin and to what we're trying to build.
Morning, Coach. Drew Hom from Badger Notes. On that note, which freshmen are you looking to contribute right away for the team?
It's funny, I just got this question at our Wisconsin Media Day the other day, and I told the young reporter who asked me that was a setup. They were trying to come for me with those young players and their parents. But no, I'm quite excited about all of them. And during our foreign tour and, the 7 weeks that we had leading up to our 10-day trip, at every different point, one of them did something or a few somethings that really excited both myself and the coaching staff and even their teammates. And so, I don't know, because again, with the youth piece, every day is a little bit different. So we're still kind of identifying who's going to really show up and be consistent. I think consistency is probably the hardest thing when you're young. Heck, it's hard when you're 41. So, I didn't get these thighs by myself, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I think that it's important to keep putting them in positions to be successful, and hopefully by the time we get to Big Ten, we really have identified that all of them can help in different ways to make us a really strong contender.
On your left side.
Coach Moseley, Kayla, Sports Philanthropy Network. Wisconsin's always been on the cutting edge of innovation, and the 50th year anniversary is right on the heels of the anniversary of Title IX. I'm curious to hear how you and your team are really going to lean into that and reach out to the Wisconsin community. What activities will you have that sort of bridge the two together?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been kind of a essential part of my philosophy since I got hired to make sure that we are bridging the gap between the university and the community. I'm well aware, kind of in any type of thing that you're trying to sell, you first have to have people fall in love with the people before they can fall in love with the product. And so we have been in the community, both myself, I'm sure people in our community are tired of seeing my face, kissing hands, shaking babies, just kidding. No, just joking. I just was seeing if anyone was paying attention. No, shaking hands and kissing babies, and just making sure that we are really one with the community. I think that there's a myriad of different events that will not only are planned already, but will continue to take place, because what I don't want to have happen, much like we did with the 50th anniversary of Title IX, it's an ongoing celebration, right? There's just, it's not just 1 year, it's not just one game. This is something that we have to continue to recognize and hold up and make sure that people 50 years from now are still understanding the impact that those women, those trailblazers did for our game.
Our final question.
Kent Youngwood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Part of that 50-year history is Coach Qualls, who was the first coach of color to be hired by a school in the Big Ten. Have you ever talked to your kids about that, the kind of the history that Wisconsin kind of made there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when we're talking in recruiting, when we're talking to our current team, as a Black female myself, I really try to lean into not only our history of, the women who came before us, but I also think that it's important that they see representation continue to happen. So I think, I give credit to the University of Wisconsin for hiring me, but also for continuing to put women of color in positions to be successful. Because I think our kids, if you look at my team, we're pretty much the United Nations. I have the first Indian woman to ever play at the Power Five. I have kids who are Nigerian, and kids who are Dominican, and kids who are Mexican, and kids who are run-of-the-mill white, because they're still there too. But no, so I think it's really important that, and my mom is white, just so no one is offended, my mom is a white woman from the Berkshires, very white, okay? And so, but no, I think that, representation is so important, and oftentimes, I want us as a society, if I could have, get on my soapbox here, I would love for us to get to a point where we're not having to talk about the first of anything, that it just becomes part of the fabric of who we are, that, we're not the first women's basketball coach of color to be, or the first woman to do this, or the first woman to do that. For me, I think it's important that we just are, and we're absolutely celebrated for the people that we are, instead of trying to have to always break through barriers and break through glass ceilings.
Coach Moseley, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you all.
We apologize for that little schedule quirk. That was obviously Marisa Moseley, not Coach Dawn Plitzuweit. 5 players in this incoming freshman class, but building on 6 Big Ten wins last season. That's the most any Badger team has put together since the 2010-2011 season. Of course, it will not start easily this year as Wisconsin opens Big Ten play at home against preseason favorite Iowa on December the 10th. And now we get ready for the final head coach to address the media here at 2023 Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Minnesota head coach Dawn Plitzuweit set to start her first year with the Gophers. 1 year at West Virginia. Tons of personality as well, as we saw a couple of weeks ago when she joined our crew in Minneapolis before a football Saturday on Big Ten Tailgate. And now the focus is on getting this Gopher program back to the NCAA tournament and being there on a consistent basis. So it is time for us to head back to the stage once again and hear from our final coach of this Monday session at Big Ten Basketball
Final coach of the morning
Media Days,
represents the
Sotvik, with
hometown
the introduction.
Gophers. Please welcome to the Big Ten, for the first time, University of Minnesota head coach Dawn Plitzuweit. Coach, we'll begin with your opening statement.
Well, certainly excited to be here today. What a great turnout for Big Ten Media Days. Of course, slightly biased. It's a great city to have it in, right here in Minneapolis. In looking at last year's Big Ten tournament from the women's side. What a great atmosphere that was here. And so certainly pleased that we have a chance to continue playing here for at least another season, and hopefully that continues into the future. Certainly with our team, we're really excited. As I was just walking in the back of the Target Center, I saw a sign that said, hard hats available upon request. I think that's what our team is at this point in time. We have 14 young ladies. 10 of them are freshmen or sophomores, but in all reality, all of us are really freshmen this year because we're all learning a new system. With that being said, our energy has been incredible. Our ability to learn has been very high. A lot of people ask, what is our goal in year one? And our goal is to learn to compete for long stretches and to compete throughout not only each game, but each series of games to continue to get better. You know, it sounds a lot like Coach speak, but that's really who we are at this point in time. We are learning, and each time, and this is what we have to keep reminding our players, as we acquire new knowledge and new skill, and we become good at that skill, then it's time to change to the next thing that we have to learn and we have to get better at. So we're not at a stage where we feel great because we're always learning new things. But again, the good news is we have a group of young ladies who care a great deal, they care for each other a great deal, and they are working their tails off at this point in time.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open the floor now for questions.
Hey, Don. Michael McCleary, the Wisconsin State Journal. You're no stranger to the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, obviously. With quite a bit of rebuilding to do with this program, I mean, what do you feel like a successful year would look like building towards that goal?
Well, again, I think ultimately for us, it's a matter of learning how to really be competitive in all settings. And when you go back and you watch our games from last year at Minnesota, we competed in stretches of games and a lot of times during long stretches of games. And then there was a situation that maybe we change how we do something that can help us become a little bit more resilient. So getting those stretches, we have stretches right now where we play really good basketball, followed up by stretches where we don't play really good basketball yet. Some of that is we don't understand what that takes. Some of it is we just have to be in those situations long enough. So for us, it's a matter of continuing to compete and to continue to be resilient and to continue to get better.
All the way on your left side, Coach.
Don, Andy Gruder with the St. Paul Pioneer Press. You've been a coach for 2 decades or so, and
okay, thanks. Shots taken. I like it.
No, it's a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because you've been here regionally and you're familiar with the way the conference works. Who do you have an existing relationship as far as coaches go in the conference, and who do you admire in the league?
Well, that's a great question. There are a lot of great coaches. I've had a chance to be in the Big Ten in the past during my 2+ decades, evidently, of coaching. And so some of the coaches still remain the same and have done this great job. Lisa Bluder's a great example of that. And look at what she's done with her program. I think the Big Ten is as good as Big Ten women's basketball has ever been, with 7 teams going to the NCAA tournament last year. So I think there are a lot of coaches that I have a great deal of respect for, a lot of players. Lisa's probably the captain of it, been around the longest. Joe McKeown, someone who's been doing this a long time and who has done it in a lot of different ways, has done a great job. Certainly some new coaches in the league, but also Brenda Frese, who's done it for quite a while and has really built and established a program at Maryland. Kevin McGuff, and I knew him back when he was at Xavier, so that was quite a while ago. Kim Barnes Arico has done a great job. So Teri, Moren, we've been coached against each other back in our Division II days. So there's a lot of coaches. Amy Williams and I obviously have a relationship with both coaching at South Dakota. So quite a few coaches. The ones that I missed are the newer coaches, those young coaches. They've only been doing it for like 1 decade or something along those lines.
Hey Don, Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. Just curious what you think Mara Braun's 3-on-3 experience did for her this summer and how that can help elevate the program this year.
Well, we talk a lot in our program about being highly competitive and learning what that looks like. And we use terms like find a way, because there are times in a basketball game that you may have the best laid plans. Maybe it's the greatest play of all time and it's really set up well, but a pass gets deflected or a shot is missed and now you have to find a way to tip the ball in or come up with an offensive rebound. And in playing 3-on-3 basketball at that pace, you don't have a chance to stop competing. You have to continue through every part of that short shot clock to the next possession, And really for us, learning how to to have that short-term memory and move on to the next play is something that we spend a lot of time working on, but it's something that she had to do in 3-on-3 basketball.
Morning, Coach. The Gophers have, I believe it's 8 Minnesota players and then 2 from Wisconsin on their roster. Being a Wisconsin native yourself, how important is it to you to keep the best players from these 2 states in the area?
Right. Well, it's a reason why I think this job is an incredible job, an incredible opportunity. I think there are great players in our area, direct area here in Minnesota, also within our region, whether that's Wisconsin, Iowa, bordering states, South Dakota, potentially even, looking into getting into Nebraska. So we have a lot of areas that are very close to us. But ultimately, having players from this area helps us in so many ways. It helps us because our young ladies, Mara Braun, can go compete and be over in China or go to Mongolia and come back home. And when she's home, she can actually be with her family. She can come home and have a weekend to kind of get things, get back into the rhythm and the routine and those type of things and be around her family. You don't have an opportunity to do that if you're playing at a school that's across the country from home. Our young ladies have a couple days off. They can go spend some time with their families, and they don't have to worry about getting in a plane and doing those type of things. Also helps us from a fan base standpoint. If you look at, and I say this not jokingly, seriously, here, the Big Ten women's basketball tournament was hosted here and was the best attended women's basketball tournament, I think, in the history of Big Ten women's basketball. If you look back, was it 2 years ago when Minneapolis hosted the women's Final Four? It was a great experience. And so we have women's basketball fans here. Women's basketball fans love supporting local young ladies as well. So from a lot of ways, I think it really helps us to recruit and continue to recruit from our backyard and from our region.
Our final question here.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Cindy Brunson, NBC Sports. What do you want your team to be known for?
Yeah, good question. I think when you look at teams, sometimes you watch them play and you look and you try to figure out what their identity is. And so I go back a couple of years in my coaching career that's relatively young, some may say. And I remember a reporter asking a question, and the question was asked and answered by the reporter. The question was, what do you look for when you recruit young ladies? Are you looking for versatility and toughness? And I answered with yes. Those are 2 great qualities. And I think ultimately that's what we want to be known for. We want to be a team that is versatile in how we do things, whether that's offensively or defensively, but a team that also plays with a great deal of toughness.
Coach Plitzuweit, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
First official Big Ten Media Day for Coach Dawn Plitzuweit. And you see some of the very first games the Gophers will play, some of the national TV broadcast and tip times from Minnesota coming up throughout the course of the 2023-24 season.